We want to welcome to our office Joe Myer, the Executive Director and CEO at Shelter House. Joe, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks for having me. This is great.
So Joe is really the ED for a couple of areas. It's not only Leesburg, it's also Centerville and Ruston. So tell us a little bit about you a little bit.
Sure.
And what led you to be part of the Shelter House?
Sure. Well, first, just to talk a little bit about Shelter House. We are a private nonprofit here in Fairfax County and Loudoun County, and we serve people experiencing homelessness and victims of domestic violence. I started this work about 21 years ago. Moved down from Pennsylvania to find work. I always knew I wanted to help people and work with people, but never really knew a whole lot about homelessness or domestic violence until I really started to work down here in this area. So I have continued to grow, just as far as understanding people. The diverse population down in this area has taught me a lot. About people's upbringings, about different cultures, and what it really means to really thrive here in our community.
So, how many shelter you oversee right now, and which one was the first one? And I know the last one is the one in Leesburg.
Yes. Yeah. So, Shelter House, we have been around for just over 40 years. 1981 when we were incorporated. 1985 is when we were awarded the contract to operate our first shelter. So we have a total of 5 shelter facilities that we operate between Loudoun and Fairfax counties. The longest standing shelter that we started operating back in 1985 is our Patrick Henry Family Shelter. That's in Falls Church in the Seven Corners area. And that is about a 47-bed facility, and that is serving families who are experiencing homelessness. So parents with children, grandparents with custody of their grandkids, two-parent families, single mothers, single fathers, anyone that is experiencing homelessness and its families is able to access services at that shelter. And then the one in Centerville, Fairfax area is our Catherine K. Hanley Family Shelter. And that is our largest family shelter. It's the largest family shelter in Fairfax County. And that is about a 65-bed facility. So we serve anywhere from 20 to 25 families per day in that particular facility. Again, families experiencing homelessness. We are the only provider in Fairfax County that is providing 24/7 shelter services to victims of domestic violence also. So in 2010, is when we really started to see the parallels between domestic violence and homelessness. About 50% of the people who were coming to our family shelters at one point experienced domestic violence in their lifetime. And we thought it was extremely important for a nonprofit like Shelter House to operate the domestic violence shelter. And that domestic violence shelter is called Artemis House. And Artemis House has 2 locations. In the northern part of Fairfax County and the southern part of Fairfax County, just so that we're able to reach everybody. And we have about 87 to 90 beds for victims of domestic violence in Fairfax County. And then we were just awarded the contract to operate the Loudoun County Homeless Services Center, which expands our footprint into Loudoun County now also.
Wow.
And so now we're also providing services to individuals and families experiencing homelessness in Loudoun County. So that is the actual shelter that we're operating, but also the drop-in center that is open 7 days a week for people that don't necessarily need shelter, but they need food, they need somewhere to shower, and they just need to get out of the elements sometimes. So they can drop into the shelter 7 days a week also.
So how long, can you explain a little bit to the audience and the listener how this will work, like the process, and how long the individual or the family are allowed to stay on the Shelter House until, guys, probably you move them, I'm assuming, to somewhere else. So can you tell us like the process, how it will work?
Yeah, so they're all very different. We really try to meet the family where they are. One family may come to us and they may already be employed and they just fell on hard times and they need to stay with us for a couple weeks. And then we're, in order to just to find housing, we're able to find the housing, provide them with a little bit of rental support, and they're out within a couple weeks. Then we have other families that stay with us for a couple months, 2 to 3 months, and it's just because of where that family may be. They may have a work history that isn't very extensive.
Yeah.
They may have lower education. They may be coming out of a domestic violence situation.
Yeah.
And families like that and individuals like that usually take a little bit longer time to house. And it's just it's a lot of the times because of the income levels.
Yeah.
We have individuals and families that come to us with mental health needs also. As you can imagine, we are all at some level right now, just coming off of a global pandemic. We are all traumatized by this, again, at different levels. But then you add a domestic violence situation where you're being abused, or you add an episode of homelessness to that stress, and now the mental health is increased even more. So we really try to work with people of where they're coming to us and connect them with the appropriate resources that they may need to ultimately get back into housing. So there really isn't, and I really want to stress this, there isn't a one-size-fits-all for
So it depends of the situation of the individual.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
And like I mentioned, we have all types of families coming to us. We have families that are very young. We have families that are a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
We have families coming to us that maybe not speak the language. So we have a lot of different barriers that are coming to us that we really need to work through to hook them up again with appropriate resources to get them back into the housing that is most appropriate and affordable for them.
So, do you have kind of programs during the year? Can you talk to us a little bit about the different programs? I know that you've we've been part of the holiday season, and we did give back to the Western shelter. But I know that there is also different programs during the year. Can you talk to us about this, please?
Yeah, as far as like volunteer programs and ways to give back, sure. So as you mentioned, we're always in need of the community support. We are an individual nonprofit, a private nonprofit who contracts with local government, state government, federal government, but there's also a community obligation to help the people and help our neighbors around us. And that comes from individuals in our community, that comes from the small businesses, the large businesses in our community. We need people to work for us, right? As business owners, we need people to work for us. As business leaders, we have people working for us, and we need to make sure that we're taking care of our own people. And that includes the people who are experiencing homelessness, that includes people who are experiencing domestic violence, that includes the children that are in our schools, that goes for everyone. So year-round, we have a lot of different opportunities for people, for businesses, to help contribute to us ending homelessness and domestic violence. So we have programs. We have a wonderful one. This is just an example from the Fairfax County Sheriff's Department, where they have 35 to 40 sheriff deputies take our children at the shelters to Target in Burke and shop with them right before school.
Oh my God.
It's called Shop with the Sheriff.
Wow.
Fairfax
Great
County
idea.
Sheriff Stacey Kincaid has this up every single year for us and for the children in the shelters. And they literally, each child is assigned a deputy and shop one-on-one with the deputy. The deputy has $250 to spend on the child. And they go around, they buy shoes, they buy clothes, they buy school supplies. And just imagine being a child, experiencing homelessness, living in a shelter, and worrying about what am I going to wear on the first day of school? Because everyone has new stuff on the first day of school, right? They have new shoes, they have new clothes, and to be able to provide a child who is living in a shelter that new clothes, the new shoes, the new backpack that everyone's so proud, whether it's in elementary school or middle school, to walk into school on that first day and feel like everybody else is just absolutely tremendous. So again, that's just one example during back to school. But there's also so many opportunities where families are moving.
Holidays.
Yes, holidays. But people within our shelters are moving out back into the community every single day. So as we were talking earlier, there's great opportunity for the community to provide new housing supplies for our families moving out of homelessness and back into the community. So we have a great resource if anyone's looking to give back to Shelter House and to the families that we provide service to. On our website, shelterhouse.org, you can go to the Get Involved and Donate Now, and there's a way that there's an Amazon wish list for each one of our programs.
Oh, okay.
It's extremely easy for an individual to go on there, shelterhouse.org, get involved, donate now. You can go to items and a list of Amazon, and we update this regularly of what the need is, and then you can choose to either have it shipped to you or shipped directly to us. Super simple. But
this
again,
is year round.
This is year round. Yeah,
okay.
this is year round. So you can do it. You can do it now. You can do it during the holidays, whatever you do. But so again, like looking at opportunities and looking at a family who's leaving the shelter typically has nothing. And what our job is to connect them with housing and connect them with rental assistance so they can afford their housing. They still need the bed linens. They still need kitchen supplies. They still need help with their utilities and things like that, where monetary donations are very, very helpful. But then also the in-kind donations that I was mentioning on from our Amazon wish list. So there's ways that companies do certain drives for us. We talked about the linen drive for people that let's give families fresh linens, because they probably have had the linens that they are sleeping on for years. And people that are in our shelters that are leaving the shelter may not have any at all. So that's an easy way to give back. But so the programs, yes, around back to school. There's programs around. We're coming up on the holiday season with Thanksgiving coming up soon. Another great example. I'm going to talk about this all day, as you can tell. So please interrupt. But we have partnered with different businesses. Helios HR is one that serves all of Fairfax, Loudoun, all of Northern Virginia. They're a great HR company. They have partnered with us for many, many years, providing Halloween costumes to the children at the shelters. And then they're transported to a local university to do trick-or-treating in the dorms of the university. So it's just again, there's so much good happening.
Anybody can help.
But anybody can
individual
help.
or businesses, small business,
Yes.
Large business.
Yes.
Wow, this is so. You did talk about the events. So let's say we want to get involved from now to the end of the year. What do you think you are on the most need right now for the next 3 months? What is you need, like the most need?
Yeah, well, I'll first start big, right? And just because you never know who's listening, but what we need always is housing that is affordable for the families to move out to. Now, I understand that not everyone is going to have a house to give, but we never know who's listening and what connections we have with people. One, we need to be advocating to our elected officials that we need more affordable housing for people experiencing homelessness and people experiencing domestic violence. So any opportunity that we have to talk to an elected official, we need to let them know that we have people who are sleeping on the streets and sleeping in their cars right now, children sleeping in their cars right now, that need housing. So that's number one. What we need is the resources to do that.
Especially with the winter right now.
Absolutely.
Out on the street,
yes.
They can't find a home.
Yes, and then with landlords, we really want to work with landlords. We have state money, federal money, local money that we can provide for rental assistance, but we need reasonable rents.
Yeah.
So we need landlords to work with us. When I say reasonable, we don't expect anything for free.
Yeah,
People
absolutely.
have, houses and apartments and condos in order to invest in. And we
Yes.
understand that, but we also have rental assistance money that we can provide to families to get out of homelessness back into housing. But we need landlords to be willing to rent to us.
Yeah.
And then on other ways to help, we talked about these different types of drives that we do. We talked about linen drives.
The holiday coming.
And the holidays coming up, which is wonderful. A lot of companies do food around Thanksgiving, so that we can provide food to the families that we have out in housing. I mentioned earlier about the 5 facilities that we run as far as the shelters,
Yeah.
but we also own 10 houses. So we're providing services to people who have already ended homelessness and in housing now.
Oh, okay.
And we're providing services to them also. And then we also have our largest growing programs is around prevention and diversion of shelters, so preventing families from coming into shelter altogether. We serve many families that are even outside of the shelters right now. So if we ever provide them with food around the holidays would be wonderful. But again, going back to our what we call our wish lists on the Amazon, on our website,
that's the kind of like the easiest way to.
Yes, is the best way to see what we need right now. And then again, as individuals, you can go on and do it, or as a company, you can go on.
Absolutely.
And you can you can challenge your employees, and it's such a good morale booster also to have things delivered into your business and see all the things that you have just bought as a collective, as a company, as a team to deliver to families who are experiencing homelessness.
This is awesome, Joe. I can't tell you how it is good things what you're doing, guys. I mean, this is and wow. I mean, you have 5 facilities. That's a lot of work. Do you ever sleep? How many hours? Tell me how many hours you work a week.
Well, I will
I know
say,
you have a staff.
I will. Yes, I will not. I will not speak for myself, but I will speak for the tremendous team that we have at Shelter House. We have about 150 staff that work at Shelter House across all of our programs. And I will say another need that we have. We consider ourselves, along with police, fire, rescue, nurses. We consider ourselves also as first responders. We work very closely with the police department when we have a domestic violence situation, because when a police officer pulls a victim out of a situation, they transport them directly to us, or the hospital if they need to go to the hospital. Then after the hospital, they come directly to us. So we have people at the shelters 24/7, always working. The first responders for somebody experiencing homelessness, a family shows up on our door, we are there to respond to make sure that they have a roof over their head. And also the families that are coming to us, it's not just about the homelessness that they're experiencing, but it's the trauma that they're experiencing. It's the trauma that they had to endure of being evicted, of losing a job, of losing a loved one, of being abused. There's a lot of trauma that goes into
homes.
and yes, and then losing their home and being displaced. Walking into a facility that you have no idea where you're going is traumatizing in itself. So the staff that are there at the shelters, they are the ones putting in the tremendous hours. They are the ones who are face to face with the people who are most vulnerable in our community, who are really there asking for help, and our staff do an amazing job of making sure that people have roofs over their head every single night. So really, it's they make my job much easier, just because of how passionate they are. And when we're talking about them being first responders, we're also talking about people that are severely underpaid. And we have caseworkers, we have people around the clock that are not getting paid very much money to do this work, but they are extremely passionate. And that's one thing that we need to change also. We as a society need to change when we're talking about people who are on the front lines, who are doing this work. And I mentioned I mentioned the nurses, I mentioned the police officers, I mentioned fire and rescue, and also the workers that are in our shelters are doing tremendous work, and we need to make sure that we are compensating these individuals who are providing so that we don't have people sleeping out on the street. We don't have burdens. When we talk about homelessness is a burden on our community.
Yeah, it's huge.
Domestic violence is a burden on our community. It's a burden on our businesses. When somebody experiencing domestic violence, there is a direct impact on our companies and on our production, right?
Yep, in the county where you live in.
Yes. So again, it's all of our issue. This is something that we can all and we should all be a part of because it is impacting us. And I guarantee everyone that is listening, including ourselves, we know at least one person who is experiencing domestic violence. You may not know it, but I guarantee you know somebody that is experiencing domestic violence. It may be a coworker, it may be a relative. This person may not have even come forward to tell you. But I know that we all know somebody that is experiencing or has experienced.
Joe, thank you very, very, very much. It seems you are so passionate of what you do, and thank you for all the wording and spread the word about what do you do and where. So tell us for the last thing. Again, can you share how can we get to you guys? What is the website? So
Yes.
Because I know it is different. Is that like one website we go there,
Yeah.
or it has to be for different locations?
Yeah, so all of our locations is under one website, and
Okay.
that's shelterhouse.org.
Okay.
So you can visit shelterhouse.org. If you're looking for a job, we have our careers page up on the website. We also have different ways of getting involved. All the things that we already talked about is up there. Our impact that we have on the community. So yes, shelterhouse.org. Please visit the website, get involved. Again, you're thanking me. I want to thank you. You talk about, you've got maids to be able to put us here and to get the word out. This is all we ask. This is all we ask from our community, from our businesses. You have such you can cast another net to another clientele that we may not have had access to. So you've got maids, fantastic organization. This is what every organization should be doing around a cause. If it's not Shelter House, if it's not around homelessness, domestic violence, as a business leader, as an individual leader in the community, get involved in something, because this is how you make an impact of getting people in, gathering people, and making people aware of the issues that we have in our community that can be solved. So, Ms. Natasha, thank you for everything that you're doing for us and the families.
And thank you for your time also. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you very much.